So I decided to do an experiment to radically shift my self-concept. I wanted to see what would happen if I fully committed to doing a Joe Dispenza meditation every day. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I did, and you can personalize this approach in whatever way is relevant to you or depending on what you're working on. When you shift your self-concept in one area of your life, what you'll find is that it tends to shift in other areas too. So don't worry so much about it if you feel like there's a lot that you want to change. The meditation that I chose is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And my focus is on becoming more securely attached, dissolving old fears around love and belonging, and creating real change in the areas of my life where I feel the most tender. So this includes friendship, self-worth, and just developing a little bit more trust in life. This is less about perfection and more about showing up daily to see what becomes possible when you choose to embody a new version of yourself. So I'm going to be doing this experiment for 90 days. And if you guys want to follow along and do this experiment with me, here are a couple of things that you need to know to get started. So first of all, you'll need to understand, or we need to talk about what exactly we mean by self-concept and what are we doing, right? So your self-concept is made up of the beliefs and the thoughts and the emotions and habits that you have about yourself. It is basically the frame through which you see the world. It creates the quality of experiences that you have in your life. And as Joe Dispenza would say, you can't create a new future from an old personality. Your personality creates your personal reality. So the first thing that you need to do is to get really, really clear and honest on the kind of person that you are being now. You're going to take out a pen and paper and list down the thoughts, the emotions, and beliefs that no longer belong in your future. Or if you want the shortcut version, you can do what I did, which is, because I often ask AI or ChatGPT for questions about my life, I just had it share with me what it thought my current self-concept was and what thoughts, emotions, and beliefs it identified that no longer belonged in my future. So you can do that too. And I use this as a list to start with. So the thing with AI is you don't want to take it word from word. You want to use it as a starting point to kind of get the ball rolling, and then of course adapt whatever it is that you get to your own personal experiences. So basically just using it as a jump start to create this list of qualities, beliefs, thoughts, and perceptions that the old version of you had. Now, the reason that it is really, really important to get super clear on this is because the beliefs that you have are simply a series of thoughts that you keep firing and rewiring over time. And when you pair this with a powerful emotion, the mind begins to think this to be true. So in order for us to get where we want to go, we need to do a clear assessment of where we are and the powerful motivations or beliefs or emotions that are causing us to fire and wire the same thing over and over and over again. This is basically how we create change. We get really clear on where we are at and where we want to go. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do an inventory of the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that your future self would have. So I'll just give you guys a very simple example. Say you want to rewire the belief that it is not safe to be yourself. If you were to create a list under the old self, you might find that the old you constantly monitors other people's responses and adjusts your behavior to match how you think that they want to perceive you. And you might notice that in your body, this feels difficult. It feels difficult to breathe, you feel contractions, you might get a sense of feeling frozen or even wanting to run or hide. And you might have internalized the belief that you need to perform in order to be loved or accepted by others. So once you get really, really clear on these painful contracted emotions, you can make a firm decision to change because it's literally too painful to keep living in that way. In order to create the new belief, you would also have to pair it with a powerful emotion so your system believes it to be true. So what would someone who is comfortable in their skin be thinking about? How would they act? How would they feel? Likely they would be more focused and curious about other people's experiences and maybe even feel a genuine care and desire to connect, which is very different from how the old version of you would feel. And they also would likely feel more in their body, more light, more joyful. So you want to get really clear on what those emotions look like so you can contrast those emotions with how you don't want to feel. So these are just some simple examples. Of course, you can pick other areas of your life to work on. What I found is that shifting in one area causes other areas of your life to shift as well. So it's a really, really cool experiment to see how much you can shift your self-concept and literally rewire your nervous system, rewire your beliefs, and change your personality in just a span of days, all through the sheer act of deciding that you no longer want to live in the old reality and using the power of your intention, your mind, your emotions to shift yourself into a better reality. So if this resonated, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Follow along on my journey. I'll be sharing more tips about how to shift your self-concept and more experiments, more tips on manifestation and working with energy so that you can rewire survival-based patterns and live a life you truly love. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you all next time.